Hello and welcome to another Game Nexus video. Today we're going to be taking a look at Kadash for TurboGrafx 16. Now I've actually heard some people say this like Cadash or Kadash. Either is fine with me. This was a side-scrolling RPG-ish type game released in the arcades first, and of course here's your intro that tells you what happened. Basically what happened is this like evil bad guy kidnapped this princess from a kingdom. And the four warriors have to go off and save her. And of course, unless they save her, the kingdom is a chaos. The original version of Kadash was released in 1989 on the one of the Taito arcade hardwares. This is the TurboGrafx 16 version, which was released in 1991. And of course it was translated by a very popular, well at least now, group called Working Designs. Back then of course nobody really knew who they were. And of course right here in the beginning the king is saying, yeah, you're the big hero I was expecting. Please save my daughter. This evil Baruch guy has kidnapped her. I picked the priest because I just like this character and I think she just has a much better attack range than everybody else. And the cool part about this game is it actually is a two-player game, so if you wanted to play with a friend you could. And the one thing I did in this video and through the whole playthrough, this will be split up into at least like 4 parts, is I talked to everybody because Working Designs did a very good job at the translation on this one. Now the good part about the TurboGrafx 16 version, which you see me playing here, is that all 4 characters from the arcade version were included, but the Mega Drive / Genesis version, which was released like a year later, instead of having the ninja, the priest, the warrior, and the mage, in the Sega Genesis version you only had the warrior and the mage, which at the end of the video I'm going to show you like a little bit of gameplay with the other 3 characters. But suffice it to say, this will be a full playthrough of the whole game because after all the years of owning this game I finally beat it, and I will actually show you the part that like stumped me up and I could never get through this. But as you can see, it's a side-scrolling game. You have your general attack. It reminds me a lot of like Super Castlevania, how you can whip in all 8 directions, and I just love the range of the attack. Plus, the priest can actually do healing magic and antidote magic and a shield. And now this is funny. These pigs will never hit you if you just stand there. If you move a little bit forward, of course, their pork chop, which is kind of weird that they're eating themselves, will hit you. And now, like, right in this very part here, you're going to notice it's, like, speeding up, like, crazy fast, because basically what I do here is I spent about 7 minutes or so going back and forth, killing a lot of the enemies, getting to about level 6. And I figured you didn't want to watch this for 7 minutes to watch me leveling up, so I actually increased the speed of the video by a factor of 10, so it would just go a lot faster, and it wouldn't be a real big deal. But as I was saying, the thing I like the most about the priest is that she has the healing spells, and of course she also had the spell which cures poison. Then she has the shield spell, and then later on she gets the like super healing spell. And of course there's my whole 7-minute grinding session condensed in about I think it was about 43 seconds, if you will. So I got up to level 6. And then I have to come here and face the major boss. And you'll see there were the spells. The one with the red vial is the healing spell. The one with the blue vial is the antidote spell. And then the one with the like blue outline of a man, that's the shield spell. Which I've seen like footage from the arcade version where it shows the 2 players. One player's like standing by the priest, and I'm guessing they're getting the benefit of the shield as well. Now, I'll tell you one thing. I played this part with some of the other characters with the shorter range attacks, and the spiders always spit their webs at me, and that was just really annoying. And it goes without saying that all of the footage you're seeing captured here is captured directly from my original TurboGrafx 16 using the original turbo chip or hue card, if you will. So this is no emulation or anything, so no cheating, if you will. And now here's the first boss, the infamous Black Pudding. It comes back later in Brooks Castle as this red thing. I'm sure you'll see it. They gave it a different name then, but all it does is it throws these little bubbles at you. But considering I'm level 6, it wasn't too much to take care of that enemy. And of course, the one sacrifice that the home version of this on the TurboGrafx makes is that it's only 2 players as opposed to the arcade version, which was 4 players, similar to like Ninja Turtles or The Simpsons, which I'd imagine that'd be really fun. And I do plan to do a main review of the arcade version, and if I can actually get through it, I might even do a full playthrough of it, but I don't know yet. I just kind of find it funny that the next village here is called Marinade, because that's like something you put in your meat. And now, basically, you're still on the quest to save the princess. That's kind of the big gist of the whole story here. But now, like, in the second continent, this thing we gotta do here is find the Kraken and defeat the Kraken and save the old lady's daughter. Now, one thing in the arcade version that I read about is that the more you use the inns, the more they cost. So that's one thing you gotta watch if you're actually playing the arcade version. And the other thing in this chapter to watch out for is that there's a mermaid that you have to get the mermaid scales from, but you'll see that soon enough. And now this is one thing you'll notice. There are armaments only for each character. And of course you'll see a lot of stuff for the fighter. He gets a lot of armors and swords and shields and everything. But all I'm going to buy here, since the only thing I can, is the next weapon for the priest, which has a more extended reach. And now make sure you read what they say here, talking about, he's saying where he sees where the mermaid lives. And now she's yelling at him and saying that if he keeps telling lies, the Kraken's gonna get him. Remember that, because I'm gonna come back later and they'll say something different. And now here's where the old lady tells you what happened. And the only reason that this is taking so long to me go through the text is because when I was actually doing this footage, I figured I'd make it go slow enough so if you actually want to read it, you can. But the basic gist of what the old lady says is that she found the girl on her doorstep. She was really pale and weak looking, and she took her in and raised her as her own. And to appease this Kraken, they sacrifice girls to it, and that keeps it from like running amok on their town, I guess. And now one thing I will give a note here is the day before I actually filmed the footage you're seeing right now, I actually had played almost all the way through this since I'd been trying for a little while. But the problem was I ran out of HP on the very final boss and I died. So in this I take a lot of precautions to make sure I'm not going to die, like fully stocking up on medical herbs. Don't go down there yet. I'll be going down in the water later, that you'll see. And now one thing to do here is don't try to grind on the frogs, because the frogs give you no gold and no experience. So if you try to level up using the frogs, you're just going to be doing it forever, because that's what I did on one of my first playthroughs. Now here's another quick grinding session. Well, this one took a lot longer than the other one, so if you actually had watched this, me going from level 6 to level 11 here, it would have taken about 10 minutes, but since I'm increasing this by like 10, it's only going to take about a minute. But the reason why I get to level 11 is after you face all these guys throwing the bones at you, there's these trees that like to shoot at you. If you get to level 11 as the priest, they'll die in one hit. But if you're any level lower, it'll be 2 hits or more. So I just figured it'd be a lot easier. And in some of my original playthroughs, after leveling up here, I actually went back to the inn and used it one more time, so I would be a little bit better. But I found all that I really needed to do is use the shield spell, then jump and keep doing the whip down at the Kraken, and it just died, and I didn't need to like get much more health. Now in the arcade version, which you'll see in a later video, see, there's one of those trees I was talking about. Those hands will actually grab you and stop you, which is really annoying. But just a little bit more here, and we'll actually be facing this this Kraken. Which, if you've never seen any movies or anything, a Kraken, of course, is just a giant octopus. And there's the blue door that was opened by that blue key that the old lady gave us. And now here's the Kraken, and there's the girl who is hostage. And there's the shield spell. From what I can see, this absorbs like a certain amount of damage. It doesn't seem like it's a timed thing, because as you'll see in this video, there are some times when I'm like in a village or something, and it just stays on. Now this is the part where I got tripped up. I didn't realize you could cut her down, because it's not exactly straightforward how you do it. In the arcade version, you just slash once and she comes down, but in this one you have to jump a certain way and stab a certain way. And of course she's saying that she wants to confess something to you, because she knows that you know her mother. And of course I figured might as well kill those tree guys while I'm here, because it couldn't hurt. And if you've gone in this area before, you simply can't walk past the water, since it's only for this part. And of course she's the mermaid that everybody at the village was talking about. And she wanted to really help the village by sacrificing herself and hoping the Kraken wouldn't attack anybody, but of course, you know, that's not exactly how it worked out, and you ended up saving her, and now she just wants to go back to the sea, so she gave you her mermaid scales. And I was actually just going back to see if you could talk to her again, but you can't. And what the mermaid scales do is they actually let you go underwater without getting hurt. Because if you've ever played this game in any of the various versions, if you fall into the water, you just constantly keep getting hurt and thrown back like in Castlevania, so it just gets annoying after a while. Now these things aren't too hard to avoid, but like the faster one is pretty bad. But if with at least the priest, if you jump, you'll usually dodge it if you time it just right. So yeah, the first 2 bosses weren't all that bad, but they get a little bit harder as this game goes on. And now instead of having like a little treasure there, it just had the tree guy, so these bugs can be a little bit annoying, and there's actually red ones later in the game that poison you too. Luckily I haven't had anything that poisoned me yet, so it's been a little bit easier so far. So now, down into the water. As you can see, I'm not getting hurt. Something actually had poisoned me. Maybe the yellow version of those bugs have the poison as well, but if you remember right, when I was in the tool shop, I bought a lot of medical herbs and antidotes. And the cool part about this game, which helps quite a bit, is when you have medical herbs and antidotes, if you need to use them, it just automatically uses them. So if your health gets too low, it'll use your medical herbs and antidotes. Your medical herbs for healing, and then your antidotes for curing poison, so you don't have to worry about it. And now you notice that I bought the new priest robes, and I have changed color. That'll happen one more time in the game, and there'll be one more weapon upgrade, as well as a like helmet crown type thing, which increases the armor class of the character. Now another thing that if you were to fairly low level when you're attacking these like weird fish that remind me of the three-eyed fish from The Simpsons. They take like 3 or 4 shots and they'll just keep shooting you, and of course if you're that low of a level you will lose a lot more health from one shot, whereas I think at this point I'm only losing like 1 to 3 health for each shot they hit me with, so that's not too bad. Now here's that water that I almost went into accidentally earlier, and that makes it very easy to go between the zones, because at this point in the game that was actually the only inn. But you'll see what happens in the next part of this video. See ya.